Hey, everyone. This is Alan Newell, and I'm the host of the MLM Voice. And, I'm excited today. We do this MLM Voice on Monday nights at 8 p.m., on Thursdays at 11 a.m., and interviewing people. Our goal is in the MLM industry, network marketing industry, direct sales industry. Our goal is to interview here top leaders, top trainers, just inspirational people that are making a difference in the industry and making an impact. And let me tell you, today's guest is one of the amazing people that I get the honor of talking to and interviewing. And we're going to open it up here in just a little bit for questions for each of you to talk to Megan. Let me tell you, Megan Weisheipl. And Weisheipl, I think I got that right. Weisheipl is a speaker. She's an accountability coach. She's teaching women how to step into their greatness. For years, she found her voice helping women, raising awareness on gender equality, breaking the glass ceiling, women's rights. And now she teaches and trains women to find the courage and the confidence to take action in their own lives. More and more women, and I'll tell you, we're going to talk about this too, but my niece posted on social media the other day about job equality for women. And I responded to her and I said, in our industry, women dominate. They dominate. And listen, I'm a male in this industry. I'm a top leader in this industry, but I see it and I know it and I love it. I love the fact that here everybody has the same opportunity to be successful. And Megan truly helps people to find their voices and take a stand for what they believe and walk away from their jobs if they want to build their dream business and start discovering their purpose, intentionally hustling to build it and sharing, their genius with the world. And so I am excited and I'm honored to be interviewing today the amazing Megan Weisheipl. Did I pronounce that right, Megan?
Thanks so much, Alan. It's Weisheipl is how you say it, but it is a tough one. I mean, my maiden name was Phillips, and when I got married, and had I been known what I was doing with my life at that point, I maybe wouldn't have changed it. But you know what? I'm proud of my last name, but it's a tough one.
Absolutely. Listen, here's what I did is I know that we've talked before and you said your name, but I went on to Google and said, Google, hey, how do you pronounce this? And so it had a different pronunciation. But either way, Megan, it's so exciting to have you on the MLM Voice and just to be able to share, your story. Megan is a mom first. She's married and has two beautiful children. And she is originally from Ohio. Ohio, is that right?
Yes.
And now lives in Pennsylvania. Not too far.
Other side of the state. I'm about 6 hours from where I grew up. I live in the suburbs of Philadelphia now.
Okay. All right. And so did you move there after you got married? Is that how you ended up over there?
It's a little bit of a long story. I moved here when I was 20 years old. I went to college at Drexel University and then worked here for several years, moved back to Ohio when the industry crashed. So I was in the mortgage industry for a long time. And then 2008, the industry crashed. I moved back to Ohio, which I know that was God's plan because I met my husband in Ohio. And then he's a collegiate baseball coach, and his career actually led us back out to Philadelphia when he got a job with Villanova University as a pitching coach. So that led us back out here about 9 years ago at this point.
Yeah. I've coached all kind of sports. I love coaching. I come from a generation, a family of coaches. My grandfather was a coach. My father was a coach. And I just sent somebody a birthday message yesterday, and it's always just so inspiring because they still say, thanks, coach. And the kid that I was sent it to is turning 36 years old. And, he goes, thanks, coach. And I remember him when he was 11 and 12 years old. And so inspiring. But here's what people don't understand. Being a head coach, even at the high school level, But now you're talking at the collegiate level. That's a full time. Actually, it's a full time and a half job that requires, I mean, what, 60, 70, sometimes 80 hours a week. Is that right?
It depends on the time of year, but absolutely. Everyone's like, oh, what do you do in the off season? And honestly, he works more probably in the, I don't know, all the time between recruiting and being on the road in the off season. It is a full-time job, and both of us, people like kind of look at us that our careers are not normal, because there could be times when it's a Wednesday at 9:00 and we're both sitting at the kitchen island, like hanging out, kind of prepping and talking about our day, because our days are not normal 9 to 5 days. And we work weekends and we work evenings, and sometimes we're home in the mornings. And we kind of like that our schedules are our own. We're flexible, but with that, there's no, it seems kind of, there's no cutoff time with it, really. It's always kind of working.
I get it. And that's kind of where I was going with this questioning, because, you know, right now I've got 3 different pages: a Facebook page pulled up, another Facebook group pulled up, a website pulled up. And then I look at your page and your children and your husband and the things you do. And, you know, it's inspiring. You said that, you know, in one of your posts 3 days ago, you were talking about your new life. And so where I'm going with this, Megan, is to talk to the people in the room today, not just the women, but everybody. You know, one of the people that's here, I interviewed last week, and we talk about juggling the balls of life and being able to handle that. And your statement was, you know, about the agreement you made with yourself that in your 40s, you'd be the best shape of your life, that your husband bought you a Peloton bike for your 40th and last March for his birthday, and you just hit your 500th ride. I mean, that in itself is impressive, because most people, when they bring workout equipment home after the 5th ride, it becomes a laundry hanger or basket. And you said this in your statement. You said, I have heard this said before, but now I finally understand. The price of your new life will cost you your old one, and I'm okay with that. When you want to elaborate on that a little bit, and just how that's changed for you, and especially with kids and a marriage and juggling everything that you guys do?
Yeah, I mean, it's the Peloton. Well, the Peloton also showed up at my house. I turned 40 on March 8th. It showed up on March 10th, and March 13th we were quarantined, is when the whole pandemic started. So the timing was godsend. It couldn't have been more perfect to show up at that time. And so that's why I was able to get in such a good routine with working out, because we were home all the time. And it was our only really escape to go lose yourself in a workout on a ride on the Peloton. And I really, really enjoyed that. But what I meant by that statement, honestly, I've heard Bob Heilig say it many times, and like I couldn't fully wrap my mind around it. But one of the big decisions that I made this year, my husband and I do dry January every year. And honestly, drinking has been a social thing that's been part of our lives, you know, forever, through the college years and then going on. And then when you have kids and a pandemic, like it kind of became this excuse to like escape and lose yourself and relax. And it's so commercialized and it's a social thing to do. And then January this year, so this is our 8th year that we've done dry January. And I just looked at my husband and I said, you know what? I think I'm just going to take a longer break, like maybe a year, and just take a year off and see really what kind of shape I can get my body in and just kind of transform myself. It was more of a challenge just to do it. So now we're on April 1st here, and 3 months of that just to see the changes in having no brain fog and the mental clarity in my body and how good I sleep, which gives me energy throughout the day. Just how much of a shift, just removing some toxins from your life. And then I started doing intermittent fasting, and I just completely I created these disciplines in my life that were easy shifts, but I created these disciplines that completely changed my life. And now my viewpoint on things is completely different, where how I show up every single day. My goals got bigger. My husband and I just created a new project called the Bam Shuck, which is something that my daughter said when she was little. And now we created it into this project that we're working on to kind of create a movement of really recognizing people that are doing good and are giving back to people. We want to recognize those people. So we've created this little movement that we have, but it's all because honestly, like, we have more time. There's no dragging out of bed. We're both up at 5:30 in the morning. We have so much of our days back because we've made these shifts in our life. So the point that I was making is, like, the price of your new life is going to cost you your old life, because I've been laughed at. I've been laughed at by my friends that are like, what? So you're just never going to drink again? You're going to hang out and do things and not have that glass of wine with us? Like, almost like, who do you think you are to do that? But what I realized too is just my husband and I are doing a new growth part of our life, and some of our friends might not agree with it, and that's okay, because we're just going in a different direction. And he said to me the other day, he's like, look at all the stuff that we are accomplishing in 3 months that we didn't get done last year. And that's really what I meant by that statement, is sometimes when you want to make a big shift in your life, and we didn't even know we wanted this shift until we started doing it, because my husband's still with me as well, that we're doing all of this, but just making the shift in our life of how good we feel, it's allowing us to show up even better in our careers and with our family and with things that we want to do. So we're just kind of loving where we're at right now.
Yeah, that is so powerful. You know, one of the comments that I like that I hear, and I've heard it from several amazing speakers, is if you want to change your life, you have to change your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so many times, you know, it's one of the things I was talking about yesterday is a lot of people, you know, you just turned 40. I'm surprised. I was looking at your Facebook page and I was guessing a different age, and it was much younger, but that's okay. And then, anyway, you know, it's funny because a lot of people, and this is, I think, you know, one of the things that I love about what you're doing and your mission and your goal is to not only inspire women, but I know you coach both women and men in the direct sales industry, but you're an accountability coach. And, you know, I'd like for you to kind of touch base on that, because, you know, a lot of people, they die at 30 years old and they're not buried until they're 80 because they never have those goals and those dreams and those visions, and they never find that coach. And, you know, it's sad, people that live that, you know, they live the same year 80 times, and that's their life. So in your coaching and your accountability coaching, what do you see as some of the things, and, you know, I know you guys call them red light stories, that most people, women and men, have to overcome?
Like the biggest red light story that people have to overcome. This is a good one, because really what it all comes back to at the end of the day, and I was telling my husband about this yesterday, because I had a coaching session yesterday, and it's sometimes I have to be, we always say tough love is still love. Like, I always have to deliver the tough love. But what I notice it always comes back to, at the root soul of things, is just people don't truly love themselves. Like, that's really what it gets to, because when you love yourself, that takes away the excuses. You stop caring what other people think. And that's always a big issue when, especially building a network marketing business where you have to, it's, you know, a little bit outside the grain when you're talking to people and sharing this, and people always care what other people think, or I can't reach out to that person and they prejudge them. But if you truly loved yourself and accepted yourself for who you are with all of your imperfections, you don't care what other people think. So what I realized in all of my coaching years is that it always comes back to that root, to say, like, just get back in touch with the things that are who you are inside and your core values. Because when you can bring that and operate from a place of love and from your core values, nothing else matters.
Yeah.
Nothing else matters. And you can show up as the best version of yourself every single day. And honestly, this is the first time in my life that I've gotten to that point as well. Like, I'm truly showing up as the best version of myself all the time. And it took eliminating some things from my life and making some disciplines and making some shifts for me to get there. And I've worked a long time on myself and my mindset. And it's always a growth process. Like, you never arrive. That's the beauty of life. Like, you're always growing and learning, and every new level, there's a new devil. So when you grow even further, you're going to go, oh my gosh, here's another red light story or a negative belief. But at the end of the day, it all comes back to, anytime you have these negative beliefs, it's just that you're operating out of fear and scarcity is really what it is. So it's being very aware of when your mind's in that space and learning how to shift it over and operate from that place of your core values, which at the end of the day is your green light story.
Excuse me. You know, that's so powerful what you talked about. And for a lot of people, you know, I kind of relate it to, and working in the LLA program and and just recently with Next Level, some of the things that resonate with me and kind of what I tell people is this is, you know, if you ask a child, if you ask an 8-year-old, hey, what do you want for Christmas? Hey, what do you want for your birthday? They'll just start rattling stuff off because they've got visions, they've got dreams, they've got things that they want. And they don't, you know, they might say, well, you know, you can ask a 13, 14-year-old. They might say, I want that new Dodge, that Viper. I want this. Money's not an object for them. Belief's not an object for them. And vision's not an object for them, because their imagination, their belief factor is just, I can have anything. And I found that over a period of time, through childhood, you know, it's I forget the number off the top of my head of the number of times that an 18-year-old has been told no in their life by the time they reached 18, but it's a big number. And I wish I had that available. But so do you find that that's the biggest thing that they have to overcome is their self-worth, that they believe that they are worthy?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you say an 8-year-old, because I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. And I think about that all the time, like in my parenting styles and the things I say. I'm always like, oh, am I creating a limiting belief in them right now to watch that? But it really is like your self-worth, like through the years. That's what I realized. Like when we get to this stage and we start working on ourselves and we have to do this self-development when you're older, it's just undoing all the things that were pressed upon us through the years getting to this point. It's really just the undoing of them, because there's environmental factors, there's family conditioning. Well, that's just the way that I was raised. And this was the beliefs of my parents that were passed down to us that might not be your beliefs, but it was passed down to them. And it's just really the undoing of all the conditions and all the beliefs that we created to now get to this point in our life to create our own beliefs is really what it is. So it's such a journey, and it's really fun to do, but it's some hard work, because the beliefs that we created as kids, because we are trusting of our parents or trusting of adults when we're young, we just believe it to be truth. Like, oh, well, that's what they said, or this is what we believe, or this is how I was raised. So it almost feels like it's part of your DNA. So reshifting and rewriting those stories is a hard thing to do. And a lot of us, once we realize what that limiting belief is or that story we created, we just want to like wave a magic wand and make it be gone. Like, oh, I figured it out, make it go away. Well, it doesn't work like that. You've believed it for so many years that when you want to rewrite this story, it takes more practice to have the awareness to do it. And that's where people get frustrated, and that's where people quit. But the ones that really want to clear their mind and really want to get to that space, it's a constant work every single day to get there. But the payoff is so rewarding.
Yes. And before we go to the next question, I just want to let our audience know that we're going to open this up for questioning. We're live on Facebook and a Facebook group. We're live on YouTube, so we've got a bunch of people over there listening as well. And if you're in this room in Clubhouse, and you know, Megan is a wealth of knowledge and amazing leader and coach. And so if you know somebody, push the plus button on the bottom down there and invite people to join us here in the room. You say, I know somebody that needs to hear this story. I know somebody on my team that could use the inspirational accountability and the encouragement that Megan's sharing with us, or I know somebody that could use this today. Just push your plus button and invite them to the room, and we'd be happy to have them on there. You know, Megan, when you touch on that, the thing is, one of the things that people don't realize is, and you just turned 40, I just turned 60 last August. And I remember when you were talking about 40, I remember my 40th birthday, and I had been traveling and at that time thought, oh, we live in the big house in the gated community with the privacy fence and the pool in the backyard, and boy, we are something. But everyone, when you said it's an ongoing journey, that it's an everyday thing, even at 60 years old and the successes that I've had in my life, I still face those red light stories myself. And I think a lot of people think, well, you don't, Alan or Megan, you don't understand. I hear you saying that. You don't understand. You haven't heard my story. Can you touch on that a little bit?
It's so funny. I hear that all the time in my coaching sessions. And not only that, like people will message me after coaching sessions or just reach out to me. And I've heard stories, like I've heard major traumatic stories, things that like I can't even think up, that it's like a movie, like, oh my goodness, these things that I've heard. But what you have to look at, these are all circumstances. These are all experiences that happened in our life. They're a moment in time. And what it is, it's our interpretation of that circumstance is what fuels the rest of our life. And that's why so many people are like, you don't understand my story. And I get every circumstance is different, but the stories that we create around it are all the fear-based stories. So they all come back to that same thing where every circumstance that happened, there's some version of you that you created out of that had to help you survive that. And that's kind of the green light. You're like, oh my gosh, who did I have to become because of this circumstance, where you don't even realize that you're doing it. So we like to bring that to the forefront, because when we say something happens, doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. A lot of people can't understand, like, well, why did this traumatic thing happen in my past for me? Well, look who you had to become because of it. But now you also have a voice to teach others and help mentor others through this by bringing it to the forefront. And when you do that, it's therapeutic for you. Like, that is how you learn and you grow and you can step into your voice. So when people say you haven't heard my story, and I love learning people's stories. It doesn't matter what their story is, because it's just human connection. And we connect more through people's failures and traumas than we do through their victories. So I love learning people's stories no matter what it is, because they're trusting me. They're trusting me to hear their story, and I'm going to do what I can to help them through it. Because I always say, I don't want to lead you to the trauma and then not help you through it. We got to get to the other side of this. So I love when people say that, because not that I want to hear the badness and hear that they went through something bad, but because if you can say it out loud, we can help you get through it. And so I do hear that a lot. And I've heard some crazy stories.
Listen, I just heard Bob, I think yesterday, I want to say it was yesterday, talking to a lady who has several different physical conditions where she spends about 80% of her time in bed, and she's in the makeup industry. And she said, I don't go live. I don't share my story because I don't feel beautiful, and I don't feel like I can share. How can I share from bed when I'm telling people to get up and go? And his response, just overcoming that red light story, and I'm sure you probably remember that, was just, I was thinking to myself, oh, dear Lord, how can you're living 80% of your life in your bed because of your illness, and you're in the makeup business. But, no matter what, people can achieve success. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I do. And I know exactly. I heard that too, that same one. And it's funny because as he's coaching, I'm coaching as well, like on mute. Like, I'm like, oh, and I was like, how inspiring. Like, she could take away everybody's excuse. Like, I'm putting makeup on while I'm sitting in bed because I have so much pain. But look, I could still look beautiful on the outside. I could still come live, and I am still connected to the world. Like, it is such an amazing story that is sitting there, but people don't see that because all they see is their pain. And like, oh, I'm not, like what Bob said, all these people that have the ring light and they look perfect and they're a dime a dozen. Like, everybody's out there doing that. But to have somebody be an inspiration and lay there from bed and say, hey, I could still feel pretty even though my body is hurting me, like, that is powerful. And I was so funny. I was saying the same thing out loud that he was saying. So we think alike.
Well, it's, yeah, I mean, and you're so spot on with that, because people think that, oh, well, they're all so beautiful. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if that's what it requires, I'm out. I'm not going to be successful. Oh, they're all so young. Well, I'm 60, so I'm out. Well, they're also, they just do such a great job on TikTok or videos or whatever. And I go, well, and I'm out, because I love what I do and I love speaking. But a lot of what's going on social media today is just not my jam. But it doesn't mean that there aren't hundreds of thousands of people that will resonate with the message and the opportunity. Look what happened. I don't know when Clubhouse started. I want to say 2 months ago, maybe.
Like January.
And
Mid-January.
Yeah. And so one of my team members sent me a link and said, are you on Clubhouse? And I went, what? And I thought to myself, I don't need another distraction in my life. I don't. And I said, I heard, so my red light story, Megan, was, I said to her, well, I see that it's only iPhone users, and you know that 58% of the population are on Android. So I don't see that taking off. Well, guess what? After multiple invites to be part of the Clubhouse, and I hate to even say new, but what an amazing stage this has presented for people to do what you do and bring your knowledge and your experience and your wisdom to people. And I know you do, different things on your podcast and on your information and on your training, but isn't it amazing how all of a sudden you don't have to be the pretty person or the person who does this, but you can share with people and inspire people and encourage people, because that's what I think that our industry, in the direct sales industry, is missing. That'll be the last question, and then we're going to open it up for questions from the audience. What do you think about that?
So funny. You just went, I didn't hear the question because I had a poor signal there for a second, and then you just said answer the question. So I missed just the question part.
Well, we were talking about how people's red light stories are. And I remember in January when one of my team members said, oh yeah, check this out. And so you don't have to be, people think that the discussion we were on is, do I have to be pretty? Do I have to wear makeup? Do I have to do it at a certain time? And all they're doing is creating roadblocks for red light stories as to, well, if that's what it takes, I can't do it, or I'm not pretty enough, or I'm not thin enough. And Clubhouse has proved that there are so many people looking for opportunities to learn and grow, was what I think. And I just wanted you to kind of comment on that.
Yeah. Hey, Clubhouse has been amazing. It was the same thing. And when it rolled out, Bob was like, hey, let's run with it. Like, I don't know if it's going to be the new best thing, but what we've liked about Clubhouse is that you really don't have to prepare. Like, you're here, you're coaching. You don't have to have makeup on. You don't have to brush your teeth. It doesn't matter. You just show up and you can do it. So what's been so great about Clubhouse is that the interaction that you have with people, like, people can ask me questions, and when they can get answers, they can ask Bob, they can ask you, and the interaction of that. But it's just about bringing value. That's what it is. You don't need to look pretty. You don't need the ring light. You don't need anything. It's like a radio show host. You're just going to bring value. And when you bring value and you can give some nugget that somebody can implement into their life and then get a result, that's how you get a follower. Yeah. That's how you get somebody who's like, oh, I listened to Alan. Oh, I listened to Megan, and I was able to recognize my red light story, and I'm learning so much, and I'm going to show up tomorrow when they're on again, or the next video they do, I'm going to click on it. That's how you get a follower, is that when they can get that nugget and implement it and get a result. So that's what's so great about Clubhouse, or any of the social media channels for that matter. But like, if you can do that, that's how you grow.
That's so true. And it's funny, talking about the radio, and I was a restaurant entrepreneur for many, many years before I learned that controlled my life. But when you meet radio show personalities, radio show hosts, DJs, you go, oh my gosh, I had no idea they look like that. And so that's kind of interesting how it is. But that's kind of what our business is all about. Everybody has a message. Everybody has a purpose. Everyone in the world needs to recognize that they are, they have a gift. They are called, in my opinion, by God. Some people say the universe, whatever your thing is, but I believe that God has a purpose and a calling for every single person on this earth. And I relate it to the story of the talons. They call them talons. I call them talents. When the rich guy gave his talons to the three guys, he gave one of them, this number, one of them this number, and one of them only one. I think he gave one of them 6, one of them 3, and one of them 1. And he came back and he said, "What did you do with your talents?" And I kind of relate that to, at the end of time when you see people's obituary or you see people's legacy, what are their grandchildren? What are my grandchildren? What are my great-grandchildren going to say that I did with my talents, talents? Because everybody has talents. And I just want to make sure that I personally leave a legacy so that people, not because I'm egotistical, but I want to inspire them to have a better life. And as you mentioned earlier, to break those, what I call generational curses or false and limiting beliefs that a lot of people carry, and to help them become the best people they can become. And so, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but if anybody has any questions, you can raise your hand in the group and we'll bring you up and you can ask your questions, or you can ask your questions on YouTube or on Facebook group or anywhere over here. I'm monitoring all these by myself, Megan. I'm just this master tasking here. So touch base on that. And if they have a question, please raise your hand.
Doing everything.
You got to do what you got to do,
Yeah, but to answer your question, I completely feel that. And I learned that from Bob Heilig when I met him. I met him about 20 years ago in our first network marketing company, about how you can change your family tree. And that's really what I believe that my husband and I are both doing in both of our families, is just rewriting the family tree. We've always chosen a different path. We've always done things differently. We've always been the one to turn heads and what are they doing over there? And that's totally fine, because we're just rewriting our family tree. I came from the parents that was all about working hard. You got to work hard. You got to work hard. You got to work longer and all that. And we just shifted that to working smarter and just really being in alignment and following what our heart.
Yeah, that's so awesome. So awesome. So our first question comes from Kara Mins.
Well, and
I'm sorry, you broke up for a minute, Megan. But go ahead and finish, and then we'll bring Kara up.
We're getting a windstorm here in Philly, so it's affecting it.
That's all right. Go ahead and finish, and then we'll have Kara ask her question.
Oh no, go ahead. I don't know where go ahead, Kara.
I'm sorry.
No problem. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. This is my first ever jumping on Clubhouse, third time, and I'm talking. And my friend Denise told me about this, so I am going to ask you, Megan. So I'm a direct sales leader, 17 years, and a high producing leader and team. I love what I do. I'm going to continue what I do, but I've become alcohol-free in the last 15 months, and it's my desire. Sorry. To help others. I don't have a plan. I don't have how this is going to work. But just going live on Facebook and telling my story in the last 6 months I've created a Facebook group to bring the women together, and that's a community. Part of me is I feel bad for thinking of monetizing it, but I feel there's a bigger impact I can have with people. But the only thing bringing me income right now is my business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. First off, I want to say congrats on 15 months alcohol-free. Rock on to you. Virtual high five there. Yeah. Well, because like I said, I'm only 3, and it's a journey, and it's not one of those things where I was at a point where oh my gosh, I have to quit. That wasn't it. It was just I want to choose a healthier lifestyle, but there's so much that goes with it. And there's nothing wrong with monetizing the experiences that you have been through to help other people. People will pay for that because they want the transformation. So there is nothing wrong with creating something that delivers value from the experiences that you have gone through in life to help somebody else get a result that they're looking for. So it says, like, it's not money, which is, am I still there? You hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. Because it just came up and said you have poor connection. It's not money that makes it evil. It's the love of money that is the root of all evil. So just trying to monetize something, I say you run with it. And I would love to connect with you. And maybe there's something that I can help with as well from this space. So make sure, click on my profile and message me on Instagram. It's connected to my profile, and let's chat in this space as well.
That's awesome. Thank you. I'm like looking to find, I love this Clubhouse idea. I totally do. Like how to create a room, how to even find your people, right? And who to listen to and how I can help others too. So that'd be great. Thanks so much, Megan.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is awesome, Kara. And what an exciting room for you to speak first. We appreciate you coming in and sharing that story. I know it takes a lot of courage to be able to share that story, and you have to be brave and you have to have courage. And I just want to, just as Megan said, congratulate you for having not only the courage to take a step forward in your life as far as drinking goes, but to be brave enough to share that story is, Les Brown, who's an amazing speaker, he always says that his goal, he aspires to inspire until he expires. And so many times people feel like you do, Kara, that, hey, I feel bad about sharing my story, or should I monetize my story? And when it comes to that, and I've had brothers who had addiction problems. I've had, ex-wives who had addiction problems and family members who had addiction problems, but I've never personally dealt with that. And so what I was just telling somebody the other day is, if I tried to share that and help people and encourage people, they would say, well, what do you know? You don't understand. So who better than you to share and to be able to inspire and encourage people, just like Megan. Megan said, hey, touch base with me. And you want to friend these people on Instagram and reach out to them and direct message Megan, because she can work with you on that. And because she's been through it and she's coached many people and she's personally experienced it. But it takes people like you, Kara, who are truly brave enough to come forward, because those people that you're trying to reach are going to relate to you and your story. And if we can just change one life, if we can just help one person, if we can just change the life of a person and change their legacy, that's what, in my opinion, this life is all about. So thank you so much for coming up and being brave enough to speak, number one, and being brave enough to share, number two.
Thank you so much.
All righty. So we have Miss Denise up. Hey, Denise.
Hey guys, Alan, thanks so much for having Megan on. Megan, you're a rock star. I freaking love you. And I'm in LLA also. And Kara, that was just incredible. I'm so proud of you for being brave to ask that question. I really didn't even have a question. I'm in the middle of taking care of my granddaughter right now, but I just wanted to thank you both so much, because you brought to the forefront some really powerful things. And Megan, kudos to you for being alcohol free. I know from Kara's journey how incredible it is. And I'm going to say it never occurred to me the things that we do and say to people that we don't even think about. Like, what do you mean you're not having a drink? Are you a party pooper? Like, what? Who says that? Like, I've done that before. I've had it done to me. And why do we do that? If somebody said, look, I can't eat gluten, I say, nobody cares. Right? And so kudos to you for talking about that and getting that conversation started out there. I think it's awesome.
Oh, thank you. And I appreciate that. When you were just saying that, I was laughing to my husband about this, because we were at our friend's daughter's birthday party. It was a 4-year-old birthday party, and my husband and I were the only ones not having a cocktail at the party. And we got in the car on the drive home. I said, "Isn't it interesting that we have to explain ourselves, like why we're not drinking?" But I was like, "You don't have to explain yourself of like why you're not doing cocaine. Like you don't have to explain yourself. Like people are like, oh, why aren't you doing it? Like that's not it. Like, but if you're not doing alcohol or if you're not having alcohol, like you still have to explain yourself. And I just think that's a very interesting part about it. And the other thing that I've noticed now of being alcohol free, I like the way that you said that, Kara, is everybody tries to explain their drinking habits to me. They're like, oh, well, we've cut way back. Oh, I'm doing that. Like, as soon as I was like, yeah, we're just not drinking. And I never say I'm never drinking again. I just say I'm not drinking today. And so many people are like, oh, we've cut way back. Or they will message me and say, are you still dry? Like, we tried, but we couldn't do it. Like, everybody needs to explain themselves. And I was like, it has nothing to do with anybody else. It's my own personal journey of just finding true health in my life. So I appreciate you saying that, Denise. And thanks for being part of LLA. Thank you.
All righty, that's great stuff. Next up, we have Miss Sue Tate, who has a question for you, Megan. Sue, are you available?
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. This has been an incredible conversation. I feel I have a different question. I don't know if I should be switching the focus of the topic.
No, it's open forum, so feel free to ask Megan anything you feel led to.
Okay. I think why I felt good to put my hand up is just we've had a question, a friend of mine who joined NLL and felt very, very safe. We have forged a different route and path with our own personal businesses in network marketing, and it's taken 3 years for us to really break that cord from, I would say, unhealthy practices in our kind of leadership above us. And we're starting to notice an influx of many of the leaders from the company, and we're starting to feel a little bit more gun shy to participate. And I'm just wondering if Megan, I know it's a red light story and it goes very deep. And we were thinking of messaging you, but I thought, this is such a safe space. I love all the names in this page, and we feel very comfortable listening to any advice that anyone would have that's in the room this morning.
Yeah, thanks so much, Sue. So let me just ask a couple clarifying questions here. So you was like a sideline, broke off from your upline because you didn't agree with the practices. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you broke off a couple of years ago, but now you're gun shy?
I think we really sheltered ourselves. So we probably broke off without really doing much of the work to heal it. And now that we feel that the safe space that we've created in finding new methods and new ways and new leadership with NNL and LLA, it's now kind of the thing, and it's being infiltrated by some of the leaders that we don't really resonate with. So we're trying to figure out how to stay safe, and maybe, grow through that, heal through that, or do something to shift that energy.
So what do you mean by staying safe? You said the word safe several times. Like, what does that mean?
That's a good point. I think there's probably been parts of the independence being ridiculed or frowned upon or used against us, instead of allowing that kind of breaking away. So there's probably not a safe feeling of being able to express our emotions or our feelings fully and confidently.
Okay. So what you've done is you've broken away, but you've created this bubble like around you but it's keeping it small. And it's still caring about what are other people going to think because we're not following the masses. But great success, and if you look at a ton of the great leaders in any industry, they were the ones that didn't follow the masses. They were the ones that carved their own path. to go in this direction. And then all of a sudden, when they rise to the top, everyone else was like, well, look what they're doing. And then they started to follow. But it's not about getting people's buy-in. When you do things differently than everybody else, you're going to get looked at differently. You're going to get ridiculed. People are going to say things. But it's being confident in what you've created and the vision that you have in your mind and following that and knowing that the other stuff is going to come. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
But it's almost like you guys have created this bubble that you are trying to protect. You're not like trying to let this bubble pop in any way. But in doing that, it's keeping you guys playing really small instead of just embracing the new way that you're doing things and knowing that people are going to say things. It's going to happen. But that's the circumstance. They're going to ridicule us, period. Circumstance. You can choose to view that as a red light story, or you could choose to view that as a green light story that, hey, we're just stepping into our greatness. We're blazing a different path here and it's going to happen. But you know what? We're going to keep on moving forward. And the people that are going to find us and join our team, that's our tribe, not the other ones that are saying the bad things. That's not our tribe. Mm-hmm. These are the people that I'm leading that want to view it this way. And the ones that don't, that's fine. They can go the other side. That's completely fine. But right now, you guys are just living out of fear and scarcity. And that's how you're creating your team. So it's never going to get you the success that you're looking for because you're creating from the wrong space.
Okay. I love that.
And you know, if I could tag on here, Megan, too, and Megan can kind of touch on this. And what I hear you saying, Sue, and I've experienced this in my business and in my team. And here's what's ironic is I'm on the opposite end to where I have a large team and some of the people in my downline have kind of broken off to do their own thing. And then sometimes they'll plug into what we're doing because they see our team and our members having success. And it's almost like, and so I think what I hear you saying, Sue, is that you're unsure why now, after a couple of years, you use the word infiltrating or coming back. Why are they plugging into what you're doing, you and your partner? Why are they now plugging into, and why are they paying attention? And I guess your question, and maybe it's your red light story, and Megan can touch on this, is you're questioning whether or not they're there for the right reason. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I feel that there's almost like a lemmings kind of thing that happens. And I don't know if it's just our company or whatever, but there seems to be like this like flow where the new thing and then everyone jumps into it. And I guess I use the word infiltrate because it's been so good. It's been so calm and quiet for 3 years. And we've been really working and growing, and actually business has grown. So I don't want it to be tarnished. Is that the word? I don't know. I'm just being really honest.
Yeah, no. And listen, I mean, that's strong and that's powerful to be honest with yourself and your feelings. But just as Megan mentioned, and I'll have Megan kind of touch on this too, because I'm sure she's seen this as well. The red light story you're telling yourself is that we broke apart because we didn't like the negativity. We didn't like the direction they were going. And we found comfort and safety in LLA. And then you may have said next level leadership, but in LLA and leading with love, serve, grow. And so you felt comfort and safety in that. And now you feel threatened that these outsiders, be it that they're upline, are coming in, and your red light story is well, who are we? Are we worthy to lead from the front? And I think, and Megan, I'd love for you to kind of chime into this, is for them to plug in to see what you're doing, for them to take their blinders off and even look at what you're doing, tells me that yes, you are worthy. Yes, you have gotten their attention. And it's kind of like right now they're fixing to do the NFL draft. And there are college players from all over the world that are trying to get drafted in the NFL. And they have what they call draft days, where you go out on the field and you show your worthiness and you show them what you've got, and you run the 40-yard dash. And if you're a quarterback, you throw the ball. And if you're a defender, you defend. And you do all this stuff. And there's some players, Sue, who are, they're not top recruits. They're not in the eyes of the recruiters for these NFL teams, but all of a sudden they're looking at them and they're looking at what they're doing and they're looking at their performance on game day or pro day. And so you've got to ask yourself, why would they be looking at me if they weren't impressed with what I'm doing? And Megan, that's my rudimentary way of explaining. If you want to touch base with this, I think it'd be great, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. And good work there, Alan. I was like, man, the combine, I was visualizing that in my head. I'm a sports person. But so Sue, let me ask you this. Why are they now coming over to you?
Assess it from like an energy point of view. I would say that they've never really maybe led from an authentic standpoint, that they've always been seeking what's the next kind of way to influence or lead. So they're not grounded themselves. And I guess that there's just a real disconnect in leadership styles that I just don't know if I trust that they're there for the right reason.
When you say there, are they coming to like your Facebook group? Are they showing up on your Zooms? Where is there?
Oh, sorry. Actually in NLL. Just names are starting to pop up. Yeah. So it's been a really safe, beautiful space. And it just, I don't know. It's kind of like when you go to a party and you're the only one there from your old hometown, and then someone shows up from your old hometown that is from high school that used to be your bully, and you're like, oh shit.
That makes so much sense. Okay, I got it now. Okay, so the analogy, spot on, got it. So that is a red light story around it, because you're already assuming that they're coming in and they're going to taint it. They're inauthentic. They're not coming for the right reasons. But what if we shifted this red light story? Because the circumstance is, so-and-so joined next level, period. That's the circumstance. It's not good or it's not bad. But the green light story could be, wow, they're finally coming around. Like, wow, look at whoever this person is. Like, maybe they've had a major shift. They had that coming to Jesus moment where they're like, okay, I really need to shift how I am leading. Because here's the thing that I know about Next Level. Bob and I created this together. This is like our thing, is that if people come in and they're not operating from love, serve, grow, and they're not trying to be authentic, they're not going to stay very long. The system just instantly kind of kicks them out in a way. Not that we do, they just don't stay around. The people that stay in Next Level, and LLA for that matter, are the ones that are pure at heart, the ones that are trying to find that space within themselves to let their truth speak. And so that's what's going to keep them. So to shift that story for you, you're instantly assuming that these people are there and they're going to taint it and we don't like them in our space. Shift that viewpoint of it. Shift the viewpoint to like, hey, you know what? I'm really happy that they're here, because now they can start leading from a really authentic place. And I hope that LLA gives them what they need out of this. So that's a great shift to have for you.
That's awesome. Thank you. That helps a lot.
Yeah, you're welcome. And here's the thing, Sue, if you're ever feeling this, just message me on the side and let's have a conversation about this. That's one of the things I do a lot, is just, we never want to see somebody leave Next Level, because to me, it just brings it back to like high school stuff. And like when I was blessed with 2 daughters, my first thought is like, oh my gosh, I got to like take girls through high school again. Like, I don't want to deal with this. But when you have these issues, let's talk it out on the side so it doesn't force you ever to leave Next Level or not feel comfortable and safe in sharing that. Because that's one of the things when Bob and I created this, is like, we just want a really safe space for people to say what's on their mind. Because if you can't do that, you're not going to get past it, and you're not going to grow the type of organization that you want or live the life that you want. So we want to help you grow through this.
Yeah, and I appreciate that so much. And I feel that it is it's a worthy subject to speak about in the industry. I feel that this industry has a real presence of ownership in downlines and uplines and even the language. And I would love to be part of the new generation that just turns it around to take back the ownership of the language, but also of leading teams and with integrity and authenticity, and really empowering coaches to be way more effective and proper in the industry.
I love that. And that's pretty much what we are basically about too. And Bob's main mission is just completely shifting the perspective about what network marketing is and shifting it to a perspective, of love, serve, grow. So I absolutely love that. So good. And here's the other thing I want to say there, Sue, is keep leading from that space. When you always are showing up for your team, for your family, for yourself from that space, it takes away the power of what you don't like. And when you find yourself playing small or like trying to protect your own bubble from this infiltration, all that is giving power over to them. So when you can always show up from this space and this authenticity where you want to create from, that's giving you back all of the power. So just keep that in the forefront of your mind when those things bother you as well.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys.
You're welcome.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Thank you, Sue, for bringing that question up. That was awesome. And Laura had her hand up and wants to speak. Hey, Laura.
Hey, okay, so I'm Sue's sideline sister. I'm the other person that she was talking about. So she just kind of pinged me and was like, oh my God, you got to come in on this. So I think you guys answered the question. And I think I was just going to kind of wanted to back up what Sue was saying. So I started Next Level back in August, and I've been loving it. And then all of a sudden, these red light stories and all our uplines, friends, I guess, are kind of joining. And so then it's like, I feel like we feel like we're a little bit silenced because we don't want to say something just in case it gets back to other people. So definitely just a lot of red light stories like you were saying. But I think you answered my question.
Well,
hey, and I was just taking a screenshot so I can remember both of you. And this isn't the first time that this has come up in Next Level. We had somebody else had a similar issue. It was somebody on their downline that was in there that they were kind of having some issues with, and they felt like they couldn't share their voice fully in there. And so I'm actually going to take this to Bob and have a conversation with him and see if there's, I don't know the right way to address this or how we can maneuver all of this. But like I said, we want to create Next Level as a safe space for everybody that's in there and everybody to be able to grow and learn together. So these are the fun challenges that we have of running something like this, is to create it in a way that is effective for everybody and makes everybody feel comfortable. So I appreciate both of you sharing this, because it only helps make us better in how we can deliver things for all of you. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I think at the same time, it's just a lot of red light stories that we just need to work through. And yeah, it'll be great. So thank you so much.
It's these fun red light stories. They're always there, and they always morph and show up as like different stories and different creatures. Yeah, it's a fun thing that we deal with here. But yeah, you're right. It is a red light story. It is a red light story, but it's also one that Bob and I can bring to the forefront and help everybody works through it together without naming names or without saying it's this or tilting a hand in any way. It's also a way that we could address it. So I appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you.
such good stuff. And hey, thanks for jumping in here, Laura, as well. The tag team sisters, and as Megan mentioned earlier, it's these are stories that we go through, no matter where we are in our business. Next level, new levels, new devils, and so what I love about LLA and Next Level Leadership and all the coaching that they're providing, and I have said this to Megan and to Bob, is that this is in my opinion the missing link, because so many times people, because it doesn't matter how big your team is, it doesn't matter, you're always facing those red light stories. No, doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter whatever, and to have the accountability coaches and whether it be the WAMs or just a group that you can go into just like this one and share your feelings and help us get through and past those red light stories. Having those people to work together is just powerful. Does anybody else have a question before we close out the room here? We've been on for right at an hour. We got about, I don't know what Megan's schedule is, but we had scheduled for an hour, but we can go, if somebody has a question, raise your hand and I'd be more than happy. Or if you just got comments, you want to speak and say something about the group, and we'll be glad to have you on. Nothing. Over here on my Facebook thing, they say grabbing the replay. So we're kind of live and replay. All right. Well, hey, listen, great stuff. And Megan, I just want to thank you again for coming on and sharing your wisdom, your knowledge. And listen, you want to touch Megan's picture and profile and follow her on Instagram and reach out to her if you've got a question. And we really appreciate you being here. This is the MLM Voice, and we do this on Monday nights at 8 o'clock and then again on Thursdays at 11 o'clock. I've been asked to, can you do some different days, different times? And hey, we'll address those as we move forward. But Megan, thank you so much for coming in. Any closing remarks for everybody in the room?
Hey, thank you so much, Alan. I really appreciate you having me on here today. And to everybody that shared and was on here, thank you so much for your time. As you said, if you need anything, just reach out to me on Instagram. I am always here to help. And one of my favorite things and ways to end it is always say, hey, get out there and spread kindness like confetti.
Oh, I love that. Spread kindness like confetti. That's powerful. All right, gang. Thanks for joining us here on the MLM Voice. We hope you have an amazing weekend. And today is April 1st, and this is not April Fool's Day. This is a powerful day. The first day of the second quarter of the year, 2021. And what a great day to start your business and to start your journey and to take a step out there and start spreading wellness. We appreciate everybody being here. Have a blessed day.